If you didn't know, there was recently a Toy Story 5 release, which is crazy, but you bet your sweet left bun that I was going to be in that seat. But also, there was a seamless co-op mod release for Lies of P, which I had knew nothing about. And you bet your other right bun that I was going to be in my seat playing that yesterday. So we had the chance to play the Lies of P seamless co-op mod from this small group called the Ember Wave team. Now the Ember Wave team, I guess they're just really big fans of Lies of P, but this is just like a fan-made project that they really wanted to do, and they've been actually working on this for a bit longer than I would have imagined that somebody had been working on this, because I didn't hear anything about it. And I absolutely love the mod community. I love playing with mods, especially because I've probably played around 1,500 hours of modded Elden Ring with many different things. Like, I've enjoyed so much of it. So they've had a lot of different releases and betas and such. And finally, they are actually releasing the Seamless Co-op beta mod, which is amazing. Now, with this being said, today I want to give some good feedback to the mod team over there at Ember Wave team, because I did find a few issues that I don't know if they're receiving that stuff, but I want to be able to utilize my platform, even though I'm pretty much shadow banned across YouTube, to one, just promote this mod anyway. We need more co-op multiplayer Souls-like games. And though we might be getting a few of them coming up, like Project Rabbit, which is likely not going to come out until next year or the following year, and then also there's this new Monster Hunter style Elden Ring sort of game, Remnant 2 sort of feel game that's coming out that's also co-op as well. We need more fan-made projects like this in the Souls-like and Souls genre era. Obviously, we all know that, like, listen, FromSoft, they don't know how to make a really, really, really good co-op experience, right? Like, as far as the way that the game feels when you are in co-op, and actually the way that you match up with your buddies. So having this sort of mod is something that I absolutely love and I really appreciate. So I really want to be able to promote this to everyone. But on the other end, the other portion of why I want to give the feedback is because I think that this game is extremely replayable with your friends, and then it can make Souls-like games become very addictive, especially because you have someone else to play with in this very difficult style genre. So with that, I want to get into the feedback, but just understand that today this is just feedback. This is not a review of the mod, even though I'm going to kind of give my overall experiences and thoughts about the mod later on. But I did still want to make sure that I give both positive and some of the feedback as well. This is not me hating. I absolutely love everything that they did. I really just want to go over that stuff. But also, this is not going to be like some of the stuff that, like, we all obviously want. Obviously, I know, and the development team knows, that we want 3 or even 4 players to be able to play the game. Like, I'm not going to be talking about things like that, right? Obviously, we want them to be able to have, mod overhauls, all the stuff. I'm not going to be talking about any of that sort of feedback at all today. Obviously, that stuff goes to say, like, if they do that, that'll be really cool. And if you want them to do that, hey, go and subscribe to their Patreon or donate to their cause. Join their Discord. I have all their links down below and in the description for you to be able to do that stuff. But with that being said, let's get right into the feedback. All right, so just like classic, I've got my whiteboard out, and we are going to go through this whiteboard style, just like all of you know and love. So I've got 4 different categories here of setup and installation, gameplay and difficulty, mod development, performance, and also some miscellaneous bullcrap that I want to just kind of throw in there. And so I want to get started first on, obviously, like, the setup and installation, because really, like, is this mod even worth downloading? Is it even worth your time? There are a lot of people who are just not really comfortable or even familiar with utilizing modded gameplay or mods at all, and I can completely understand why. Like, it can be really frustrating to set them up and things like that, which brings me to my very first point, which is the setup and installation is easy as fuck. You don't have to work. Like, it is so very simple. all you have to do is just go directly to nexusmods.com. Actually, I'm going to go there for you guys right now. So all you have to do is go to nexusmods.com. Go specifically, just search for Liza P. I've obviously got Liza P right here. And you can search here for seamless co-op. I'll also have the link down below so you can be able to find that directly there. Click on the link. You'll be able to very simply go to Files. The easiest thing to do, especially if you're not super familiar with downloading mods, is just to click on Manual Download. When you download it manually, you'll get a copy of LOP Co-op V1 point whatever, blah, blah, blah. When you do that, it's actually pretty simple from there. But you can come back to the description, scroll down, and it'll take you to how to use. Once you get to how to use, it's super simple. 6 easy steps. Extract the folder anywhere. So you can see here, I put my folder directly into my games on my desktop. From there, I then extracted the LOP co-op folder. You can click into this, and then this literally tells you step 2, open loader.exe, which is pretty simple. Open this loader. What will happen from here is you'll actually have an additional download that'll happen, which is going to be something called the Windows Desktop Runtime, if you don't already have that downloaded. If you do already have it downloaded, then you won't need to download it. But once you open up the loader, it'll allow you to load up and create the, install the mod super simply. And then from there, every time you want to open up the game, all you do is just come back to the loader. It is pretty simple to right click and create a shortcut. Create a shortcut and add it to like your desktop or something like that. And that is extremely simple. But it is very easy to download this. So very easy. From here, select whether you want to host or join. Depending on whether you're going to host or join will depend on which sort of settings that you do get. But if you're going to join, it's pretty easy. You just put a password in to join your buddy who is hosting, and then your buddy who's hosting is going to get the opportunity to set up like the difficulty, change the damage scalars and such. But it is extremely easy. So if you are not super familiar with downloading and utilizing mods, this is probably what I would say is the easiest, most simplest mod that I have come across out there. It is crazy easy to utilize and set up. So I highly recommend utilizing it. There is not much friction at all. Brings me to my next point, the UI. So after you have downloaded the UI or downloaded the game, the mod, the UI is very basic, which I think is a very good thing because it keeps things very simple. It's like if you're looking to join, just put a password in, click find, and then your buddy will pop up. And I think it also asks you to put in like a nickname, which is going to be the name that your friend sees in the game, so they can obviously be able to identify you. And then secondly, even when you load into the game, there's a small box in the top left that just literally says like, hey, F1 is this, F2 is this, F4 is this, and you can be able to hide that little box as well. Don't forget that you can hide the box. From there, next, this leaderboard system. So I guess this is kind of part of like setup or installation, but what they added into this, I'm thinking about the UI, was a leaderboards feature. So you can press, I believe it's F3 or F4, and open up the leaderboards, which leaderboards in a Souls game is kind of wild because you can see a ton of stuff. You can see all the total deaths. You can see all the total ergo, which is like runes or souls. You can see all the total everything. And it's really freaking cool. I don't know. I thought that was just like a cool little touch to add to it, especially for just having another partner. The two of you can kind of compete with each other. I do honestly think, I'm sure they're trying to figure out a way to get 3 or maybe 4 people in it because the space on that leaderboard is really large. And what really do you need a leaderboard for just one other person? I mean, it's kind of cool. It's just something really cool to add in there. I thought that was amazing. Keep doing little cool stuff like that. Like, I don't know if that's kind of considered quality of life, but UI stuff as well. From there, you can use either a LAN or a password with Steam. I'm going to imagine most people are probably just going to use a Steam or utilize Steam to be able to log in with the password. And what this just means is it's pretty simple. Whenever you open it up, it'll allow you to put your name in and then let you choose where you want to join via Steam party essentially, or your own local LAN. Obviously, most people are likely going to just use the password with the Steam. The password to Steam works very well, super super easy. I know so far this feedback is all positive. That's fine. I just wanted to kind of open up with some of the stuff that I initially thought about with just the setup and installation. From there, I want to talk about restarting the party. So in the case that you, and maybe the developers can explain this to me, but in the case that we like in the game or like one person needs to leave the party and come back later on, unfortunately you're locked out unless your buddy is actively searching for you. If they're in the game, you can't rejoin that game utilizing the password you already had set and utilizing the find filter that you already also had. So it's a little bit weird how you go out, but you can't immediately come back in. So my teammates, whenever we were playing, he had to leave the game, research or reopen up and rehost, even though he was already host with the current password, rehost, and then I had to then search and find again with that password, find him again, and then go back to join the game. It's not something bad. It's fine. Like it's honestly, much better than like the Elden Ring regular co-op system. I will 100% say that. And it's not something that I would say should alter or should push you away from utilizing it. It's just a minor inconvenience when the host is already still actively in the game. I just needed to drop out for a quick second and come back in. And then I think my last piece of feedback for the setup and installation is the Steam invite, which I don't know where the rest of invite word is. So the Steam invite, you might end up trying to invite your friend directly from Steam if you've already started the party. Like as an example, when I was trying to jump back in, my teammate did send me a Steam invite. It does not work that way. And I don't know if this is feedback for the dev team or more so just like information for you guys watching the video if you're trying to choose whether or not you want to play it. The Steam invite link that you can like go to your friend's Steam account and then invite them directly to the game, that does not work with this seamless co-op mod. I'm not sure if it was meant to work or not, but it does not work. So don't expect it to. All right, let's move on over to gameplay and difficulty, which I don't think I have much like feedback about the difficulty at all. The scaling feels really good. Like having two people in there, I think it's like perfect for sure. Now, some of the scaling, whenever you have the difficulty sliders of making it 2x, or 2.5x more difficult, really get tough. It can become very tough. But just the native scaling already, whenever you join in with your buddy and the damage that you're going to do, feels fine. Like some enemies feel like they're way under, health or whatever. Like you're doing so much more damage. But then you get to some of the elites or the bosses, the main bosses, and you're like, damn, are we really weak? It got to a point almost where we were fighting, I can't think of the electric boss guy, but where we were fighting where we were like, maybe we need to go like grind some ergo and grind some levels. But in all actuality, like our weapons just weren't scaled up just yet, even so we went to go upgrade our weapons, and then we were on par with the damage of what we should have been. We were fighting with completely unleveled weapons, and even though we had to upgrade materials, we just had not gone to do that. Now I think that just might be the fault of like me as or us as like pro Souls players, is that like we don't do much grinding because we can get straight through everything. So like that's fine. But the scaling feels right. I'll say the scaling feels right. Next, dying feels so freaking jarring. I'm gonna just take a moment to step over here. When you die in the mod, and I'm not sure if this was on purpose or not, but it is the most jarring experience in the world. What I mean by that is, and I'm gonna show like a video here. When you die, like that last hit that's gonna kill you, instead of you seeing the hit attack you like you normally would, or there being a like death sound and like a whole death screen that you die, you lost your stuff and like all that kind of, no. as that the boss or the enemy is getting the last hit on you, the final blowing, the final shot on you, you instantly die, and you are instantly ported or teleported into the spectating mode, or back to the grace where you and your friend are gonna respawn instantly. And it's so jarring. Like it's just like it's cut straight there. Now again, I'm not sure if this is what the developers intended, uh because it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit. Which I don't know if it's supposed to hurt my feelings, if it's supposed to be that jarring, or they just didn't. Because you don't even see, especially if like there's an enemy that comes up from behind you, and they're gonna like one shot you, right? Maybe you're just roaming around. There are a lot of enemies in Lies of P that just are asleep or spawn from the sky, right? And so like if you're running around, you're like on like half health or a little bit lower. Again, the scaling is pretty tough. The scaling is pretty fair, I'll say. So if one of the enemies come up behind you and you don't see them, and you get hit, you're down, and you didn't see anything. You didn't know what happened at all. And that happens a lot. And then also in the boss fight is really jarring. Literally, I got grabbed by that electric boss, and as he grabbed me and threw me, I died. But he threw me back all the way to the grace, and I literally saw all the camera painting through all the buildings and everything. So I'm not sure if that, again, that's intended, but it is something that I would say, if it's not intended, it needs to be fixed. Otherwise, if it was intended, you guys hurt my feelings with that. All right, coming back on over to my next piece of feedback is the death spectating. So it is really cool that you get this chance to spectate your buddies whenever you do die. That is, I think, a really cool feature. However, the spectating screen is just all of your own stats and all of your own items and your own UI. I would love either one of two things: either a blank UI that just says spectating, and maybe it has like your friend's health bar or something like that, or I would like to just have or see like their UI, like maybe a minimized version of their UI, maybe just like the amount of flasks that they have, their health, their stamina, things like that. So that way I don't see my own stuff as well. Plus, also, I would really love to maybe like have something that shows me that I'm actually spectating. Because again, with the dying feels very jarring, and you dying a lot of times when you don't even realize, because you get hit, you instantly teleport into your friend, which is cool. There's no like loading in order to get to the spectating, but you instantly teleport as your friend, and you might not realize that it's not you playing. So there needs to be some sort of maybe like overlay or something. I don't want to give, I'm not the creative one. You guys are. Um, so, but having some sort of like is clear spectating mode will help out massively. I can't tell you how many times I thought I was still playing when I was actually dead. All right. The cool thing is with gameplay and difficulty is that co-op is seamless. Is actually super seamless. I guess I could have put this in setup and installation, but co-op is extremely seamless, which is a good thing. Like I like being able to die and be res at the graces or whatever they're called. It's really cool. I do really love the fact that like I don't have to like leave the party or go back to my own world or anything like that. You spawn in with your friend, and you're there with them the whole time as long as you don't die, which is I think is pretty cool. Also, one thing I would love to be able to have is to use my own loaded characters. Whenever you do spawn in and you do create the game, you have to start a new game with your buddy, and your buddy can't come in with any new characters or anything. I played the game a handful of times through. I've done New Game Plus. I've gotten a bunch of different weapons. I would love to be able to go into the game with and play with. And so I'd love to be able to use loaded characters who already have equipment, items, and all those kind of things. Especially because that'll make the trading system even cooler. But I also do understand like starting off way too overpowered. So I wouldn't want to do that for my friends. However, it would be something that I would absolutely love to be able to do, is use loaded characters for this. If you don't want to go back and start all the way from scratch, because you have gotten a bunch of really good items and great amulets and things like that, then I would say that would be one cause to be a little bit cautious until maybe they do add that feature in. Like if you just do not want to do that, does feel very weird going from, very overpowered having, or very powerful, having a ton of items, a ton of equipment, really great outfits that you've earned, right? Even if you guys have not played through the game, I'm going to spoil it. So like take the next 10 seconds off. Even when we do become a human and we look like a human, I still love to look like a human starting off from scratch. All right. So for those of you who are back, there you go. And then finally, my last piece of advice is you can't use the summons, which is completely fine. I don't care to use the summons for like assisting me and my teammate. However, utilizing summons will be really freaking cool. Really freaking cool. All right, next I want to talk about the mod developmental performance. And this is basically just a category talking about how well the mod itself performs. A lot of times mods, they perform like complete crap. So I did feel it was necessary to be able to actually put this category here for feedback. So first up, I'm happy to say that the mod is not completely fucked, which is a really good thing because, like I said, a lot of mods are completely fucked where there's glitches, there's tons of bugs going on. And so they have been working on this a lot. And yes, the mod is still currently in beta technically. So we are still experiencing like a few little things, but it's functional. It didn't break my freaking PC. It didn't brick it or anything like that. So it is safe. So I would say like good job on like the actual stability of it. I want to talk about the player interactions though, because when a player goes up to the grace to enter the grace, sometimes it'll pull the other player into the grace or brick them from doing something else, especially if they were like in the bag menu or something like that. Then they can't interact with anything. If they were at the shop menu, then they can't interact with anything.
Wait, where'd you go?
For your information.
No, I don't want to talk to him. So we can't use a stargazer and a merchant at the same time.
So depending on what player interacts with a shop or a grace or an upgrade station or whatever first, the other player sometimes is pulled into that same menu or is unable to utilize the other menu system that they're using, or gets a prompt no matter where they are to interact with that menu or that system as well. So like if I'm 50 feet from the grace and my friend touches the grace and wants to go into the grace, then I might get a pop-up that says touch grace, which doesn't make sense. So at least the player interactions like that. Also on the note of player interactions, let's talk about clipping and friendly fire. So many times you're clipping into your teammate. Oftentimes, especially in cutscenes, because there's only one of you. Now, I obviously don't believe that the developers are able to, pan out the FOV whenever we're talking to like one of the characters, right? And so like pan out the FOV and have both enemies standing both players standing side by side. We're just clipping directly into each other, which is just funny, right? I don't really care. If they can't do that, the ideal situation, or at least make this keep looking high quality, would be just to only have and show one of us, one player in that cutscene, and maybe just either we only see our player in that cutscene, or just show the host player in the cutscene. Because it's like I said, it's weird if you just want to look even higher quality. And then on the other hand, I don't know how randomly, but some random times when my friend attacks an enemy, he also attacks me. I'm not completely sure. Sometimes it happens. Very few times. I have not died. I don't believe I've died from it. Again, sometimes I don't know if I'm dying or not from what. So especially like if you get shot from afar and that was like the last shot, you don't even see the shot. You have no clue. But at least for my friend, I have taken damage to my friend a handful of times. At least it was something that I would notice. So I want to make sure that it might have something to do with like the clipping with the enemies as well. I'm not necessarily completely sure. Another thing as well with these enemies, there's like invisible attacks, like where they're not attacking, but then you get hit. And so I'm not sure if maybe the enemy in some cases is attacking your friend, but you're nearby. So but in your POV, you don't see them attacking. Like they're not doing any. Well, maybe they were just like recovering stamina from an attack or something. But there are just random invisible enemy attacks. I'm not sure how or what that is, but you just take random damage to them, even though you weren't hit by your friend or directly by them. I will say as well that, and I think I forgot to put this on a list. There are a few times where your teammate sees something that you don't see. Like they see it with an enemy, they see an enemy attacking in a certain way. There's traps in Lies of P, like the lightning traps, especially in the first world, where you hit the lightning trap and then it spews a bunch of lightning all over the ground. Sometimes, well, no, I think almost every time my teammate did not see me activate the trap. Also, my teammate could walk right into the trap and wouldn't take electric damage either. So that just shows me that there are some cases where your teammate sees something differently than you see. Again, I'm not necessarily completely sure how to fix that or change that. And then finally, sometimes my attacks don't actually connect with the enemy as well. I think this is kind of the same thing of like an anti-clipping. I'm not a developer, so I don't really know. But sometimes my attacks don't connect. Also, the puppet string arm that you get, about 90% of the time, it would not pull the enemy towards me like it actually is supposed to do. Again, I think this is only because of having two enemies or two players there. There must be some sort of restrictions of moving an enemy that quickly or something. I'm not too sure, but like that's probably like the biggest thing is that if that is an issue, then there's probably other little tiny issues somewhere else, at least in the development, in the dev connection of this. Again, this was probably like the most. I mean, the dev performance, the mod dev performance is always just going to be something that is over time is going to have to become better and better quality. So this is probably like the most critical feedback category, but that's just on purpose.